Hey guys, this is Alessio Summerfield, the host of Metal Gear Mondays, and you are listening to a backlog episode of Metal Gear Monday. So if you guys hear any mention of Geek Time, the Geek Time network is since defunct, and now Metal Gear Mondays is a part of the original lineup of podcast shows from Forever and Astronaut. If you guys want to take advantage of our Patreon to get really cool exclusive content and speak with other fans, as well as talk directly to the hosts and the guests, you can go to patreon.com/foreveranastronaut. $5 a month on Patreon will get you access to all of our original shows, including Dev Diary Season 1 and future shows. So if you want to support the studio and support content like what you're listening to, please be sure to go to patreon.com/foreveranastronaut or foreveranastronaut.com to check out the rest of our lineup of shows, as well as short films, blog posts, and other goodies. If you want to write into the show, the new write-in information is contact@foreveranastronaut.com, or you can utilize the facebook.com/Metal Gear Mondays. Thank you guys so much, and enjoy the episode. Welcome to another episode of Metal Gear Mondays, the Metal Gear podcast, where we tackle the entire series from start to finish in book club fashion. This week, as in every week, I am joined by Sam Wright.
In the river, hey,
All right, and I'm joined by Isaac Lim, who's been on almost every episode except for some of the micro episodes.
That's right. Oh, I'm getting a phone call.
Are you really?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what's happening?
I don't know. All right.
To explain what's happening with me, I was trying to sing the beginning part of Billy Joel's "The River of Dreams."
Oh.
and I forgot the words.
Well, that's not what it sounded like to me.
I forgot the words and drifted off. I can't explain Isaac, but that's what happened to me.
I'll use my mind's eye to imagine a better version of your singing.
Please do.
All right. So just to announce to everybody, so in the past when we did our single previous reader response focused episode, we did it just like we used to do on the show, which was just having Sam kind of designated as mailbag guy. However, and this is amazing news, thanks to the massive amount of responses that we've been getting, to make it a little bit easier on Sam, we're going to round robin style kind of bounce between each of us reading the next piece of feedback.
Don't you treat me like a baby.
But I will say we've got a couple really long responses, so in those responses we're going to like tag out like mid reading. Just to make it not monotonous and not make somebody's throat hurt like a motherfucker. But just so you guys know, we are reading your responses and we will credit them to who they were said. But in lieu of self-editing and in lieu of timing, we kind of edit some of these down to make them a little bit more readable. But also to make it a little less us talking about how cool we are and us just kind of getting to the meat of your comment. So if you do respond to us and or you send your feedback or comments or stories, we love it that you guys are like, oh, you guys are doing a great job. But we just don't really feel comfortable like reading a whole bunch of compliments to ourselves all the time.
We're self-conscious.
Yeah, so that combined with it feeling weird for us to talk about how good the podcast is. So just know that with some of the iTunes reviews and some of the emails and stuff, we'll probably skim over like the "you guys are so cool" parts. But if it is pertinent to your story, I did keep some of that in. Without further ado,
No, don't stop telling us we're cool, because that's cool.
Yeah. Without further ado, I apologize for any of the UK listeners out there who have been responding in full force. We realized the other day that you actually have to change the nationality of your iTunes application in order to see the other reviews.
Our American brains didn't come up with the fact that maybe there's multiple iTunes stores and that they were all aggregated. They're not.
Yeah, who knew?
So-
I actually thought that they were aggregated, but apparently they're not. So we've just discovered this whole plethora of UK responses. So we're going to read through those before we get to emails and Facebook messages and all that. But I will let Sam take it away.
So I'm gonna skip this first one on our list because I want to tie it into the email that they sent us as well. So I'm going to go straight to wow. There's two people that we need to tie to emails, so we're just gonna skip those first.
Okay.
I want to read a 5-star review from Zozo1981. Essential Metal Gear Solid. Essential MGS.
Exclamation point.
Exclamation point. Zozo says that I fell in love with MGS as an 18-year-old girl and now as a 34-year-old woman, and these are her words, not mine. Yeah, I'm ancient. This podcast has taken me all the way back via some wonderful memories. Love the guys' affection for and honesty about the series, so much so that I have ordered the Legacy Collection to dive into once I'm done with The Phantom Pain. And she says some nice things about us before saying that, and Snake is still the man of my dreams, even if you do reckon he has a fat booty.
And he does.
Yes.
He's got the
And he
fattest.
certainly does. He got that fattest ass.
Snake needs to pull over. That ass is too fat.
It took every ounce of my being not to die while I said that.
That's
So
why.
yeah,
That's what I was hoping you would read it.
Zozo, you're not the only one.
Even if you do reckon he has a fat booty.
So Zozo. I had a question I wanted to pose to Zozo. And Zozo, if you're listening, please like us on Facebook and comment with your response or send us a contact email. I'm curious. So a lot of people will say that Raiden was made the protagonist of MGS2 to be more appealing to the female demographic. I'm assuming that since Snake is the man of your dreams, that I already know the answer to this question, but was Raiden a more appealing protagonist for you?
As our only confirmed female listener,
Yeah.
please answer this question.
Because apparently every time I fucking read somebody named Ashley, I need to quit assuming that it's a woman.
Yeah, because that's another one. Ashley Vincent, otherwise known as Vinny, gave us a 5-star review saying the boss would be proud. Enjoys our analysis and our personalities, and it's also from Wales,
Which is
so that's
cool.
fucking rad.
Yeah.
I've never had a Welsh fan before.
Yeah. Also, thank you for the title of your review because it made my heart flutter to know that the boss would be proud.
Yeah. Ashley sent us a message on Facebook as well saying that Metal Gear Solid 2 is the reason why he hates swimming pools and swimming in deep water in real life, and the game fucked him over, but he still loves it and tells us to keep up the good work.
Yeah, I thought that was super interesting. Please elaborate more on why it gave you a deep fear of swimming.
Yeah,
Because I'm gonna go ahead and say they don't have landmines at your local pool.
there's mines there. No. There's no mines there.
So I think you're
You
safe.
can go swimming in the pool.
That's awesome.
And then we got another 5-star review from Extreme Turnip, saying just awesome. Can't wait until we get to Metal Gear Solid 5, which is going to be a fucking doozy. And also enjoys the show.
Yeah, if anybody has any pro tips on how we should even fucking tackle Metal Gear Solid 5, I am wide open to recommendations because the way the plot is structured in that game, I have no idea how we're going to tackle it. So
we'll get into that later, but please offer suggestions if you have them. And then we had one final UK iTunes review from Smokey01 UK. Saying a 5-star review saying that Monday is now my favorite day, and it's essentially giving us a lot of praise and high recommendation. And Smokey also sent us an email. Let's see if you want to take a stab at that.
yeah, totally. So Smokey01 UK via email says, I had just purchased Metal Gear Solid 5 and was hoping to find some help explaining the Metal Gear lore, which, to be frank, has really baffled over the years. I first played the original MGS in my early 20s after watching my younger brother playing it. At first, I was uninterested as stealth games were not really my cup of tea. However, then, my brother showed me the Psycho Mantis fight, parentheses, controller import 2. I was completely blown away. That started a love affair with the game and its many iterations that I now find myself still playing as I turn 40. My memories of MGS2 are predominantly outrage after realizing I was to play as Raiden for pretty much the whole game. That said, though, I ended up playing through it 5 or 6 times, although I never did finish the European extreme difficulty level. It was just so damn hard. Anyway, thanks for the great podcast, guys. You brighten up my Tuesday commute into London.
Tuesday?
Well, yeah.
Tuesday.
That's not how you're supposed to do it.
It's
I'm
because
kidding.
I
It's a
fuck
time
up.
difference.
Yeah, well, and I also
It's a
fuck up
time
when I release my edits because for those of you who listened way back during season 1 where I had way more free time, the episodes used to come up at like 2 o'clock in the morning on Monday, Central Time. So when you woke up, it would be there waiting for you. However, now I edit down to the wire and don't upload until like 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Usually. So we're trying to rectify that by trying to kind of do these recordings earlier. But yeah, so I just wanted to apologize to people who used to use this as their Monday morning commute. Awesome.
So thank you to our UK fans. We're sorry for shunning you for so long, but please do not take it as a slight. We're just dumb Americans. So.
And Smokey01, I am super intrigued by the fact that we caught you sort of having just picked up MGS5, and I urge you to any comments or questions or story stuff that you come across while you play it. Definitely save that for later. And we'd love to hear your stories on MGS3 and MGS4 as we keep going.
Absolutely. Isaac, I've got some questions for you.
I'm gonna answer them.
Our good pal TJ Work,
Mascot of the show.
TJ.
show mascot.
That's a little.
We talked about this last time. That's kind of dehumanizing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And we should stop. You should stop calling him our mascot. He is a friend of the show.
All right.
TJ.
All right.
Thank you.
He's a good friend.
Put your guns down,
Yes.
guys. TJ, I almost took a
I
bullet
hear-
for you.
Yeah, I hear the M4 shreds him up real nice.
Oh my gosh.
Little callback to last week.
Yes.
Isaac.
Yes.
You are no longer songless thanks to TJ.
Yes. TJ sent us all a lot of
Well,
music.
we actually have another listener who I will read later who is also trying to send you even more music.
But he's not the first.
That's true.
TJ.
You never forget your first.
TJ. Flutter. Yeah, he
Jesus.
sent us all a lot of great music. I'm assuming it's kind of hard to pick up, but I'm assuming he was in all of these bands.
Yes.
He sent us songs from this band called Dubbed in English.
Actually,
which
I
is
enjoyed
great.
it.
Yeah, it's like
Ooh.
industrial, like it's not my cup of tea, but I do enjoy it, and from time to time. And I really like the song that he sang on called "Fiction," and I don't know if he's willing to put the stuff public or whatnot because they were all like Google Drive attachments.
Yeah, we can feature some of the music if he's okay with that.
If he's down with
Yeah.
it, so TJ,
We'll reach out to him before this episode comes out and make sure
Yeah.
it's okay. But
I do have to apologize to TJ because me and TJ were having a small little convo on the side, and my responses were a little less desirably delayed. So I apologize, TJ. I will respond more punctual.
So you heard it here first, guys. If you email Isaac, he now is under contract, under oath to respond quickly.
Yes.
only to TJ though. So
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So if your name
We'll
is
start
TJ, or it's first name with a T, middle name with a J, you now
Yeah.
have full access to Isaac's inbox.
Yep. Anyway, but the song "Fiction" that he sang on, he usually plays the guitar, but he sang on a song called Fiction for the band he's in, dubbed in English, and I love that song. Like, I played it a couple times yesterday, and it's pretty catchy, guys. I don't know if you guys listened to it, but
I did. I liked it.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Thank you for sending some tunes, because
yes,
I know Sam's work may or may not permit the use of music, but my job, where I sit at a computer for 99% of the day, I really enjoy having new music to listen to. So
No, my job is the same way. It's not my job is not quite as creative as Alessio's job, but I spend swaths of time sitting there listening to nothing. So I greatly appreciate always having new music to listen to. And TJ, you have provided me with a lot, and I dig pretty much all of it. So.
and I think I listened to the whole discography for Black Market Opera.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was kind of had a nostalgic feeling for me, at least.
cool. How so?
I don't know. I couldn't pick it out. It felt like maybe it was the music that I used to listen to at a certain time. I don't know. I guess it had that. The voice had that. I don't know how to describe it. It's nostalgic. You can't describe nostalgia.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
true. Well, and I will say I was a big fan. I listened to having to edit the episode where we featured the song "The Professional." I ended up listening to it a couple times, and I actually really enjoyed it a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah, The Professional's really good. I like that song a lot.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say actually with like an inflection, like I can't believe it, but I actually enjoyed it. No, it was great. So, and all the best to TJ in trying to form a new band now that he's in Baltimore or DC area. So, if anybody is interested in joining that band, definitely reach out to TJ on our Facebook area. And I think we should move on now, lest this become the TJ podcast.
TJ.
Since we already mentioned the other musical person, I guess we can talk about this next one.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lovely Facebook message from Nick Reed. Nick, you can stop. You can stop wishing it was you. It's finally you, my friend. So Nick says, and the reason why I mention that because we have another regular contributor, Nick Ziegler, old Ziggy Stardust.
Old Zig Ziglar.
Oh, Zig Ziglar. I call him Nicky Ziggy Stardust now. I used to just call him Ziggy, but now I call him Ziggy Stardust in honor of David Bowie.
Can I just take a quick second? I don't want to get on a crazy tangent here, but I want to take a quick second. Because it's a Metal Gear podcast, and because Kojima has said countless times how much he loves David Bowie, and because Bowie's inspiration appears in both MGS3 and in MGS5 a lot, I just want to take a brief moment to mourn the loss of David Bowie. 69 years old, died of cancer. If you guys have not listened to Black Star yet, you owe it to yourselves to check it out.
Oh my God, it is so good.
That album is so good, and apparently it was recorded in 3 sessions in early 2015, and even the producer who worked on the record knew that it was being recorded as the last album to come out. And it was released so that it would come out 3 days before he died, or like within the week. I think it was like 6 days. So check it out. Definitely watch the video for Lazarus, which is essentially David Bowie saying goodbye to all of us. And I don't know, regardless of what you think of David Bowie or any sort of past sort of things that have been spread around recently that have become a little bit more mainstream about situations with young groupies, I just want to say that I have the utmost respect for him, and that I think we lost a very important human being recently. So
Weird.
I know this is going a little late as far as condolences to Bowie and his family, but I just wanted to say something about it.
It's our platform. So.
Yeah. So anyway, continue with Nick. I apologize.
Nick, Nick Reed. It is finally your turn.
on that note.
On that note. So Nick says, hey guys, I wrote a review on iTunes a while ago, but it mustn't have submitted properly or something. It was the first podcast review he's ever written. so that's cool. But he doesn't think it worked. On the podcast each week, you guys seem to be reading out things from people named Nick, and he keeps getting really excited thinking it's me. But I soon realize it's someone else called Nick after you read out what they said, and it gets my hopes up every time and then crushes my dreams. So I just thought I'd try to contact you on here instead, and it succeeded, so congratulations. My first introduction to the Metal Gear series was watching a trailer from MGS1, but I never actually played it until MGS2, which blew my mind on every level. I was in the 5th grade when I first played it at a friend's house. My friend was a big fan, and he was great at playing the game and showed me all the awesome things you can do. I soon bought it for myself afterwards and played it a million times. I found the game to be quite challenging as a kid, but the graphics and gameplay kept me hooked regardless. The story has since become the most intriguing part, and after playing it again as an adult. I also love the tricky but rewarding controls. You feel like a badass once you master the controls. I still consider this one of the most ahead of its time games I've ever played. When you look at most other games from 2001 to 2002, they were nowhere near this in terms of quality, scope, and technology. When 3 came out a few years later, I found the story and characters seemed so lame and campy in comparison. Interesting. It didn't have the urgency and Kojima-ness of MGS2. To me, it felt like more of a safe fan service rather than an extremely well-thought-out meta-trolling attempt at MGS2. And I was also a big fan of the sterile, futuristic environments of 2. I've since gained a bigger appreciation for 3, especially since playing the HD remaster. The original PS2 release had pretty average-looking graphics and frame rate. I didn't mind the old camera view, but the fuzzy, overly brown-green, washed-out colors and average frame rate made it difficult to see sometimes, and was a huge letdown when compared to the silky smooth MGS2. I just remember hating the look of MGS3 as a kid. However, the gameplay mechanics in 3 were hugely expanded upon, which was awesome. Anyway, sorry for rambling. And you're not rambling. This is all stuff that is good stuff to say. So,
Do you guys agree with that? With what he said about 3? I mean, I haven't played it yet, but what do you?
Well, and I think so. Thank you, Nick, for kind of opening up the conversation about quote unquote urgency and Kojima-ness. I'm going to say it again, most definitely on next week's episode, but I think that MGS2 is quite possibly, for better or worse, the best example of a singular vision. So, like, there clearly was, like, an intention with MGS2, and, like, no matter how good or bad that was on the whole game, they fucking stuck to it and saw it until the end. And I think in that sense, MGS2 feels stronger and like every single part has something to contribute. But I think MGS3 being a little bit more open and having like way more shit going on, and arguably being like a longer plot that was a little bit more surface value as opposed to like having this like meta insanity in the background. I think it feels just like way more traditional and like a little less risky than MGS2. But I will agree too, when 3 came out, I thought that the graphics were a little less detailed than 2, which they had to be that big of a game. So I would agree that I think 3 looks way better in the remaster, and I think that says a lot about the art direction, because if a game that old, including 2, and even 1 in to some respect, if those games can still hold up this far in the future, like I think that says a lot about art direction and character design. And so I don't know. I think ultimately 3 is a great game, and a lot of people actually cite 3 as being like the pinnacle of the series. But I will agree with Nick that I still think that MGS2 is my favorite.
Mm-hmm. And I can also agree that it was when I first played it, I remember it being kind of, I haven't played the HD yet. I will obviously when we go into 3, but when I originally played it, I remember having a hard time like figuring out where things were and what things were when we were outside because of that exact same thing. Mm-hmm. So I can agree on a lot of those points. But does not stop it from being a phenomenal game.
Yeah. Isaac, do you want to read the second half of the response?
Yeah, I can do that. So Nick continues on saying, the podcast rules. I, like many others, just searched Metal Gear Solid in the podcast app on my phone and stumbled across Metal Gear Mondays. I like the dynamic of you 3 together. There's like the nerdy expert one. Then there's like the cool stoner one. And Nick, I have a little beef with you here with this next statement. And then There's the shy one that lacks confidence.
Isaac, what are you talking about? You're the cool stoner one.
Oh,
No, I'm the cool stoner.
Yeah, he did. He
That's-
did clarify because we asked him, and he said that.
So
Go ahead.
Alessio is the nerdy expert one.
Which I don't understand. Why am I nerdy?
what's that voice, Alessio?
I know.
I'm the cool stoner one because if you recall, I had a very hefty cough
Yeah,
for a
Cough.
while.
it was a
because
weed
I was-
cough.
I was.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
what it
definitely
was.
a weed cough. So if you were a little confused by my intro last week, it's alluding to this.
Yeah.
So, I don't actually smoke weed, and I did not have a stoner cough, but Nick seems to think so.
And you know what? God gave me this voice, so I apologize. I have no control over my voice.
And then, of course, Isaac is the shy one that lacks confidence.
So
Continue.
Isaac, you tofu of a human. Can you continue
Whoa!
reading?
God.
Oh, Jesus!
You just,
Not because of his heritage,
yeah, we just
guys.
crossed
Oh my God!
We
so
just
many
lost
lines.
all of the listeners.
all of our listeners,
all of our Asian
I just meant
listeners.
that Isaac was subtle and was shy.
subtle and flavorless.
And mushy?
Jesus, he is very mushy.
Oh my
I
God! Anyway,
okay.
In an,
You
in
guys
a, in
seem
a
to have-
heart way.
In a heart way?
Yeah, your heart. You're so mushy and open.
Have
and
a mushy
kind
heart?
and emotional, and I love you. Continue reading.
Continue reading
Isaac.
the email.
This is a
Please.
I'm backpedaling.
You guys seem to be great at remembering insignificant details from the gameplay and story, while also forgetting and overlooking hugely relevant and important parts of the game. It's really strange, but I guess everyone takes different things from the game.
All right,
So-
pause mode,
Nick, I need you to clarify, buddy.
please. I sent Nick a message on our Facebook group in the message that he sent this on, asking what he means by this, because I feel like we've done a pretty good job. I feel like season 1, where we talked about Metal Gear Solid 1, was very much kind of a cluster because we didn't really know what we were doing. But I feel like 2, we kind of shaped up. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
know what else we could have talked about in 2 without literally like talking about individual credits. Like, I feel like we went really in depth with 2.
However,
Yeah.
definitely get back to us on that. We want to be mindful of stuff like that. So if you feel that way, or if other people feel that way, definitely let us know, and we'll be more thorough in the future.
Yeah, absolutely, because we do it for you guys.
Absolutely.
Continue, Isaac. I'm sorry.
Also, shameless self-promotion, since I heard you talk about someone's band and playing a song of theirs.
TJ?
Our podcast is gonna be just like showcasing bands like after another year.
Welcome
that's
to
probably my fault.
Metal Gear Mondays and also Battle of the Bands.
Yeah, Metal Gear Mondays where we
Podcast.
play metal songs.
So Nick plays the drums and sings in a funk metal prog band called
sounds
Eater of the
incredible.
Sky.
Yeah,
Yes,
that sounds fucking amazing.
awesome.
Funk metal prog band, Eater of the Sky.
Eater
That
of the
sounds
Sky.
incredible.
Be Still My Heart is the name of the band.
He's currently in the process of writing lyrics to a new song called "The Lolly Lulu."
There's the plot
You
twist.
don't have to say it. You don't have to say it that fast.
You have to.
Yeah, the hyphens actually
Lolly-
tell you to increase in speed.
Lalilulelo.
I've never actually said it out loud, so
Ah.
Lolly Lulu. Anyway,
La, a nature follow so.
Lee.
What if those are the lyrics of his new
Lou.
song?
It's
Isaac, continue. I'm sorry.
I am a huge fan of the grand conspiracy themes of MGS2. If you're interested, you should check out our release from 2014 on Bandcamp. So
Link us, dog, so I can put it in the show notes.
He didn't give us a link, but I'm gonna.
Oh, yeah, I'll put it in the show
guess-
notes.
yeah. A lot of my lyrics are inspired by the themes in MGS2. Cool. I find the whole story and meta nature of the game insanely interesting. The other games in the series, especially MGS5, really disappointed me for its lack of intensity in the story. It was too drawn out. I think MGS works best as a linear story.
Can I just?
Yeah,
I want to
think-
get an amen to this comment.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
amen,
I
brother.
agree.
Like MGS5, I'm not completely done with the game, but it's not been. I've been kind of disappointed as well.
Interesting. I think MGS2 was the one that Kojima poured his heart and soul into the most. It seemed like the most far out and uncompromising out of the Metal Gear games I've played. So the MGS2 episodes on the podcast have been really interesting to hear other people discuss it. Especially after hearing that MGS2 was originally going to be called MGS3 just to mess with people. I have since done a lot of research into development and history of MGS2 thanks to you guys. Oh man, it's such an amazing game. Did he say that?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
That's the direct quote.
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
Well, and listen to next
With
week's episode, man, because we're gonna go nuts on that
Yeah,
stuff.
we're gonna go balls deep in this video game.
I will. I agree with that statement though. Just so you know.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, a question.
Which statement?
The oh man, it's such an
just-
amazing game.
Just
Or
the
the
all
balls
man
deep.
part.
Just the balls deep part.
Just the balls deep. Anyway,
All right, finally, a question. I've seen and heard a lot of about MGS1, but I'm still yet to actually play it. Any advice of what I should play it on? PS1 or on the PlayStation Store or the Twin Snakes remake? Also, what would you rank from favorite to least favorite Metal Gear games you've played so far? Sorry for the overly long message. Cheers.
So real quick, Nick, that's not a question. You asked like 3 questions there at the end.
stop giving this
All
man
right, all
shit.
I know, I'm kidding.
So first of all, not an overly long message. This is exactly what we asked for. So kudos and thank you.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yes.
2, as far as, and I don't know, I'm gonna go ahead and give my answer to the how should he play Metal Gear Solid One question. I think if you want to kind of save yourself from like the controls of the PlayStation 1 era in today's day and age, go ahead and play Twin Snakes. As long as you're prepared for the fact that they take a lot of liberties with
Sons of Liberty.
With Snake's acrobatic endeavors in this game. And it's a little bit more Michael Bay-ish than the original game. If you don't care about controls and you're okay with the idea of playing a game that was made on the PS1 and looks like a game on the PS1, definitely try and get it from the PlayStation Store. It's not that expensive.
I think it's $9.99.
Yeah, it's like $10, and the PlayStation Store version is just the PlayStation 1 version.
It's actually the exact same controls as MGS2. So it plays the exact same way minus first person. So if the first person view is going to make or break it for you, Twin Snakes is actually built on the MGS2 engine.
Same graphics.
Yeah, so same graphics, same controls, same everything. But if you want the original experience, which I'm going to go ahead and say, I love Twin Snakes, but I would say if it's your first go around, you owe it to yourself to play the original.
OG.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would
And
say
Isaac-
what?
I was going to say, Isaac doesn't really have a frame of reference, but
But I mean, I am curious, Isaac, like, do you think with how dated it is, and you just recently played it, like, would you
Right.
recommend it to somebody else in its current form, or would you recommend
Oh,
an
yeah.
updated version?
I'm kind of one of those people that kind of like to play or see or watch or hear something that in its original state. And I mean I like remasters and whatnot, but if it's my first time watching it or first time playing or first time hearing, I kind of like to hear and play the OG of it all. So
The original gangster?
yeah. But all right, I will say, I mean, I didn't play the original because I don't have I don't have the PS1 version. So,
Come over and play it.
yeah.
It's so I would say the PlayStation Store and the physical copy are identical, like 100%. Like I would say the
Yeah.
only thing that you're missing at all is like physically having to change your controller port and like having to actually flip open the disc tray whenever you change the discs. But like other than that, it's identical. So I
Gotcha.
would just play the digital version.
Yeah, and I will say if you have a PS3, I would recommend getting the Legacy Collection because it's like $30 and you get like 5. How many games is it? 5 games.
Yeah, the Legacy Collection you get.
Technically
you get
7 games.
You get Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, and 4, and Peace Walker. So that's 4. You get digital copies of 1 and VR missions, and then you also get copies of Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2.
Yeah.
So 8.
Oh yeah. Because
and
and
then you also
digital
get
novel.
the digital novels for Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 2 as well.
So it's technically 10 games.
And brand new, it's like $40, $50. It's definitely worth it.
And to play Metal Gear 1 and 2, also for fans, we will cover them. And my thought process is that we'll get to them after MGS 3. But Metal Gear 1 and 2, you have to actually access them through Metal Gear Solid 3 on the Legacy Collection. Because that's what they were shipped with whenever they came to the US for the first time. So they're not separate entries like on the menu. You actually have to go into MGS 3 to get to them.
Which confused me at first, and then I realized what was happening. So.
Yeah.
Don't get caught.
As far as listing favorites from top to bottom, Isaac, I'm actually curious. So far, you've played 2 of them for the show. Which one did you like most? And I don't know. I know that you can't separate the 2 because very much so 2 relies on you having played 1. But which did you like between the 2?
In terms of like entertainment, I would say 2, just because 1 for me was super frustrating at a lot of the time, actually, to be honest. And 1 I feel like had a better atmosphere or whatnot. But
we kind of touched on that, how like 2 is kind of way more sterile.
Yeah. But it's supposed to be like that. But I guess I preferred 1's whole cinematic atmosphere and just kind of dirt, grime.
Yeah, it does feel like a dirty game. Like having replayed it for the show, like it just feels way grittier than I remembered as a kid.
That could be the pixels that
the actual like life-sized pixels. No, that's awesome,
Giant.
man. I think Peace Walker and 2 are like way at the top of my list. And I think as far as gameplay, I think Metal Gear Solid 4 might be like the perfect culmination of Metal Gear. I originally thought 5, like having played 5 like most recently, I was like, dude, 5 is like the way Kojima wanted MGS to always be. But I almost think that like going back to like the linear structure, I almost think that the open world breaks the story so much that I think 4 is like that perfect in between where it's like, here's an open world to explore, but we're going to funnel you into these like holds where like you have to go through this area to get to the rest of the game. And 5 isn't like that. 5, it's like you can fucking get on a helicopter and go wherever you want. Like, so go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I honestly, and it's kind of weird for me to say it this way. I think 5 is my least favorite.
Yeah, I think from a story perspective, 4 is my least favorite. But I think from a gameplay perspective and a story perspective, 5 might be at the bottom of that list too, because I think by the end of it, like, it just takes so fucking long to get anywhere in the story for 5. And, like, I don't feel like the payoff is worth the repetitive gameplay. So.
And I don't know. I also haven't played it. I can't say for sure, like, I haven't played Peace Walker much.
Dude,
like,
Peace Walker is so good.
Which I'm sure it is, and I wholeheartedly believe that. But I just never had a chance to play it. And so I'm going to be going into it when we get to it finally for the first time, which I'm excited about. But TJ actually kind of tells me that playing Peace Walker and having Peace Walker in 3 under your belt really helps to kind of boost the enjoyment of 5 a little bit.
No, definitely, I agree with that. I will say it will boost your enthusiasm for 5, but it simultaneously makes you upset how little any of that shit matters in 5 when it should matter, like, a lot. You know what I mean? So I think 5 might be that great tragedy. So I think by the time we get to 5, we're going to just say, we're going to declare Metal Gear Solid 5 is a fucking tragedy because it's amazing. But I feel like it was maybe like half a year of development time from being like truly amazing. Because so much was cut and so much didn't end up in the game that by the time it released, I 100% feel like it would have been way better if they would have delayed it.
Yeah.
But anyway, cool. Sam, did you have a different response to that besides what you already said?
No, that's about it.
Okay, sweet.
I guess I should say.
Yeah, what's your favorite?
Probably 2. Probably is my favorite. 2's the one that I have the most memories with because 1 was like one of the first video games I ever played, but I was a lot younger the first time I played it. 2 was the first time like I ever remember being crazy excited for the video game. And I played it so many times that it's just like it's ingrained in my brain how to play it at this point. And it kind of baffles me and kind of upsets me a little bit that I didn't know there were stairs on the right side of the fucking arsenal. So
Yeah.
let's move on.
Yeah, we didn't show any
DC
love to 3. I'm just going to go ahead and say that's because 3 is so good that like we can't even talk about it. Like,
Yeah, we're gonna show all of our love for 3 here in the next.
Yeah, it's a great game. It's a great game.
On the Facebook page, we got a Facebook message from DCD Mario. It's a quick little message saying that I'm going in, guys. I'm gonna buy the collection today and play along. You guys are only on 2, so I'll have to jog at a fast pace to catch you all. And we reassured him that it's gonna be a little bit before we get to 3, so he has plenty of time.
I'm also going to go ahead and throw this out there. I feel like Konami should be sending us royalty checks with the number of people who we've gotten to buy the Legacy collection.
There we go.
Cool. I'm going to take this next one. This is from Josh Dykes via the Facebook page. I'd just like to say that you guys have been a staple of my hour-and-a-half long commute to work every morning. Thanks, Josh. I, too, come to you guys from searching on iTunes for Metal Gear, and I've been impressed with y'all's banter ever since. As for MGS2, I went back and played the game to keep up with the podcast, and I was impressed by how surreal the game's final moments are. Not knowing much about Solid Snake as a character, I played the Twin Snakes years ago, I really connected with Raiden and not really knowing what the hell was going on. Solidus Snake was a fun villain, and then he says question mark, and I really dug the sword fight at the end after all of the utter humiliation Raiden was put through. Gameplay-wise, this game takes a bit of getting used to after multiple play sessions of Metal Gear Solid 3 and 5. Did you guys miss the tank controls from 3 as much as I did when playing 2, or am I just a crazy person? Anyway, I think it's cool that you guys are filling in the gaps of the story for those of us that missed out on the other games in the series. I can't wait to hear y'all's thoughts on 3, my favorite, and keep up the good work. I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. So, if by tank controls, you mean that you can use like the D-pad to kind of like walk slowly, I don't know. So when I hear tank controls, like I don't think any of the Metal Gear games have tank controls, because tank controls to me is like OG Resident Evil.
Yeah. Oh my God. Where you have to like turn into a direction before you can actually move in that direction and like reverse slowly.
And I guess MGS3 has a little bit of that because you can kind of spin Snake in place a little bit. But I guess I don't know what you mean necessarily, Josh, because I feel like they all are like point analog, stick in direction, go in that direction. So I guess, so what I pull from this is I think MGS 1, 2, and 3 all have like a little bit of like a slower kind of mechanical control scheme. And then I think from 4 onward, it kind of became a little bit more like Gears of War, kind of like flowy. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but I don't know. After playing 5, like bouncing between 5 and 2 while we've been doing the podcast, I will say it took a shit load of time for me to get readjusted. And I prefer the original Metal Gear control scheme, but I think 5's controls work for what it's trying to do. What do you guys think, Sam?
I can kind of agree with that. I don't know if I would call them tank controls. I can kind of see where he was going with that frame, because I don't know that I would have a word to describe them. I guess tank controls would be the closest I could come up with, but I can kind of see.
Mm-hmm. Did you prefer the older controls, or do you like the newer ones?
I think I like the controls a lot in 4. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the controls in 5, which I guess might translate into Peace Walker a little bit. But,
I think so. Peace Walker is actually more similar to like 3, I would say.
oh, yeah?
Actually 4, because you can actually like move while crouched.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I'd say 4 and 4 and Peace Walker came out at like the same time.
Yeah.
So the two of them control pretty similarly. But sweet. Isaac, I'm gonna read this first part. But like the little header part, but I'll let you read the first half of the actual email.
Yep.
So never be game over, which if you've played MGS5 is written on the back of Eli's jacket, which I love. But never be game over is also the Facebook page for the Reddit MGS page. And this is a fella who contacted us through that Facebook page. So the email did have a name, but I didn't want to read that name via email. So I'll just refer as the page name. And if you want to write in with some more stuff on a future episode and you want us to read your name, feel free. But I just wanted to refer to him as Never Be Game Over. So Isaac, take it away.
So NBGO says MGS2 is actually pretty unique in that it's almost absent of historical substance. It's mostly focused on the time that it existed. True. It's far more meaty in the philosophy department. You know, that postmodern stuff. You're the player pretending to be a hero who's pretending to be a hero who relives the previous game's events and meets the actual hero. I'm pretty sure you guys noted the origins of Fat Man's name. If not, now you know that he's named after the atomic bomb that was detonated over Nagasaki during World War II. Huh, that's cool. I did not know that.
That's where I was going with last episode about Raiden's name. I was thinking about this email.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah, and this is the fella who is actually super, super generous, and I can't thank you enough, who has told us that he wants to be sort of our historical reference moving forward. So he would love to give us feedback from a history perspective, because that's what he's coming to these as. He's got a background in history. And so I thought it was super neat, and there's tons of links in this message that I will put into the show notes.
That's really cool. So he links to the blog, and he says, this blog post is from a game developer that I really admired for writing it, but is more of a thesis than anything. One thing I find odd that really seems silly if you're familiar with it is Jack's child soldier background. Apparently he fought as a Caucasian boy in the first Liberian Civil War. However, it was mostly an ethnic war, so it's unlikely he would have identified with any faction, although ethnicity or nationality is not determined by one's skin color, but rather their shared language, cultural perspective, borders, and economic situation. It seems a bit silly that Jack would have repressed these details of his life for so long, because he would have an accent or some kind of verbal habits that would stand out, or at least to the player. It would make a lot more sense if Jack was black.
Tenacious D.
Is that a pun?
Jack Black?
Jack Black.
Jack Black.
Kung Fu Panda 3 in theaters.
Oh, God.
Anyway.
Official sponsor of Metal Gear Monday.
Huh. That's interesting.
I don't even know if it actually is in theaters yet. I don't care.
Yeah. Continue, Isaac.
Kojima is undoubtedly a leftist, although maybe not so progressive on the question of women. I don't know.
With Quiet and MGS5, I will say he is not so progressive in the question of women.
No.
So he's not really thinking about these things, but he's working this in because of the involvement of the U.S., of the Patriots in this case, and the conditions created by the way of finance capital that laid the groundwork for the conflict. And then he links us to another article. Huh. Wow.
Are you commenting on the article that you're totally reading right now? Huh.
Am I reading? Let me read the article real quick.
The whole article.
I like this Google Doc you're live highlighting.
Oh, yeah.
I can,
You like it?
Oh no, you're pink. Anyway,
You're pink.
So I'll catch up from here. So more on that here, and he links another article. From the perspective of another leftist, or a communist in this case, journal of an organization that has been disbanded for quite some time, everything before the headline, The Clash Struggle, are unbiased facts about the money flow in that conflict. But I think this is really the most history you can genuinely bleed out of this particular game, and it honestly has very little impact on the story. The only other history worth noting in MGS2 is really just the in-game history, which y'all have pretty much covered pretty well at this point. In fact, I never really thought about it, but almost all of MGS2's history is self-contained. I promise that I'll be a lot more useful when you guys get to MGS3. I'll play alongside y'all to brush up too. Oh, and you may have known this, but I think this is the last, if not one of the last MGS games that featured that classic unmistakable theme song that we all love so much. Here's why, and he links a YouTube video. It turns out Tappy, and then he said spelling, question mark, the composer behind the MGS theme, actually stole the song from an old Soviet composer. Here's the entire original version, and there's a YouTube link. And here's a video that compares both versions, another YouTube link. I love both versions, but I'm not going to lie, the MGS version is superior, even if it's basically theft. Although I'm not entirely sure that everything made during the existence of the Soviet Union isn't technically public domain, because, you know, communism and collective ownership. He said, if I'm repeating anything that you've already mentioned in the show, it's only because we're all super fans and we all know the same shit. I feel like you guys had mentioned the whole John Carpenter plagiarism stuff I recall recently. If I recall correctly. You may have also mentioned the music thing too. And yeah, thank you so much for the super robust history background. I really loved it. Can't wait for...
I was
Yeah.
going to say, I'm really excited about seeing what he has to say about 3.
Well, and I'm going to go ahead and throw out a spoiler. MGS3 likes to just randomly take bits of history that like strengthen its story, but like ignore other bits of history that may not strengthen its story. But I will say from this point forward, so MGS1 and MGS2 have all been like future geared. But it seems like 3, 5, Peace Walker, and Portable Ops are all like, and Ground Zeroes are all like Kojima commenting on historical events that he lived through. So it'll be interesting to see like how the story is different because of it. So yeah, it's interesting because like a majority of the series other than 4, and I guess Metal Gear Rising, if you consider that canon, kind of looks to the past. So we never really get further in the future than like MGS4, which is only like 3 or 4 years after 2.
Which technically Rising is the first. I think Rising is the furthest in the future it goes if you want to consider that canon.
Yeah, and like that is so gameplay focused and doesn't really give a shit about narrative that like it's not even really too much story. Yeah. But yeah, so super interesting stuff, man. Sam, do you want to take this last one?
This one final one actually used the contact form on our website, which you can go to geekti.me/WP/contact, or go to the main site and click the little clever little button in the top corner that says contact. But it's just a nifty little form that goes directly to our admin email. I check that every day. It goes to my phone. I check it before each and every episode we record. So you'll be sure that we'll get it if you send it to that email. But from the OG
Ziggy
Nikki Z,
man.
Nick Ziegler, Nikki Ziggy Stardust, back up in here. What? Booyaka shot.
was that Ali G?
It was Ali G. I had to throw in a little Ali G for our UK listeners that we're paying attention to now. Booyaka shot.
Nikki Z, Ali G.
Nikki Z, Ali G. Nikki Z, Nick Ziegler. So he.
I hope Nick is just bright fucking red listening to this right now. I hope
so too. So Nick says, the OG Nikki Z.
Oh my god.
I'm never gonna be able to do this.
Sam, you drove the car straight into the ground. The elusive Sam Wright hyena laugh, ladies and gentlemen. Nick, you killed him.
Oh god. So Nick oh my god. You're my favorite. So as you know, I have expressed interest with discussing MGS3 with you guys on the show, but I have a confession. I have not played MGS2.
Ooh, good
Insert gasps. Cue it here. That's for you, Alexia. I know sacrilege. It's true though, but I do have a small funny story to tell about it. I recently got a friend into the MGS series, and since he has a PS3, he got the Legacy Collection and played through it.
Send us another check, Konami.
Seriously, send us another check and tell your friend, if he doesn't already, to listen to the show and talk to us. So one night, he was at my house, hanging out, playing his PS3 while I watched, and just after the section where Ocelot shot the president, he got lost or something and was wandering around trying to find out where to go. I was doing something else at the time, so I wasn't watching him while he was wandering, but I looked away from what I was doing and watched him wander into the room with the dead president, pop into first person, raise his pistol, shoot twice, and quickly leave the room. I started laughing, and my friend was like, "What?" To which I responded, "Do you realize how surreal what you just did was?" And he didn't seem to realize what I was talking about. I had to explain to him that it's not a very normal thing to shoot a dead president for no reason. I still tease him about it from time to time. Anyway, that's my story. In the moment, it was hilarious, and it's honestly the only significant story I have with MGS2. And what a fucking story.
Yeah, you should probably, if your friend could not, like, register on his radar why that was fucked up, like...
So, send him our way. We'll talk to him a little bit. We may need to give him some therapy.
Yeah, pro tip, don't shoot dead people, because that's fucked up and wrong.
Just like, well, number one, don't shoot people in general.
Yeah.
Number
rule
two,
one, don't shoot
rule
people.
One. Rule two, don't shoot dead people. What the fuck? Anyway, thank you for that little anecdote.
Yeah, and getting us to say the words "dead president" on our
dead president.
We've been flagged. Don't shoot the president. We've been flagged.
Oh my god.
This podcast is going to be dismantled by the NSA by tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you, OG Nikki Z. Booyakasha! Booyakasha.
Well, sweet. Yeah. Dude, and I actually just realized something. This is funny. So I have a single young male living next door to me and my wife, and we have not spoken to him or like had a kind of a, I don't know, we've not had an excuse to like say hey yet, but like I've seen him go in and out of the house.
Why do you want to just like say hey to this weird young man?
Well, no, I normally just say hey to my neighbors and stuff, but
because you're a social person.
But he had a friend come over, and I saw a friend leave his house with a PS3 in his hand. So how fucking
did it look like they were intimate? I'm sorry for bringing it up.
I appreciate your callback. But no, how weird would it be if all things are as small world as MGS would make it out to be? How weird would it be if Nikki Z is my neighbor?
Oh man,
yeah,
Nikki Z.
But I'm gonna go and say,
OG Nikki Z in the place to be. Booyakasha!
Nick, that is not an invitation for you to go introduce yourself to your neighbor who may not be me. So. So now Nick and myself are going to be awkwardly staring at our neighbors for the next few weeks.
Well, see, now I'm going to go... Okay, never mind. I'm just not going to say anything. Because it was about to be really creepy.
Well, right on. So I think there were 3 quick things from last week's episode that we 100% said to each other that we would say at the end of the episode and never
totally
said.
Didn't. Oh,
so
yeah,
we're going to say that right now.
Well, wait a second. Didn't we have another review?
Oh, yeah, Sam.
Oh, yeah. So this was another iTunes review on the American. So this one
on
had
the
to have
America
popped up,
side.
On the American side of things. This one had to have popped up like hours before we started recording because this wasn't here before. But it was another 5-star review by Temele28. TMELE28.
Is that Tamale?
Tamale28.
Welcome to the show where we mispronounce everything.
Yeah. Apiarion.
Yeah. Well,
let's go with
this
that
is
one.
a Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid. We play Metal Gear Solid. This Soviet Russia. In Soviet Russia, Metal Gear Solid.
That's MGS3, all right?
Yeah, I know.
Save it.
Sokolov. Anyway, Temele28, I'm just going to go ahead and say, or T-Melee, fuck it. Fuck it. Yo, T-Dog. It's one of those, you guys are awesome. Love the show. Definitely fun reminiscing the old Metal Gear games. So thank you to Molly28.
Yeah.
For that review.
And join in on the reminiscing. Send us a letter.
Yeah. P.O. Box. No, God, no, don't do that. No.
I would love to open a snail mail account just to
God.
get handwritten letters.
Do you want to subscribe to a P.O. Box?
Yeah. We'll talk to you guys. We'll let you know when that becomes a thing.
Yeah.
Sweet. So really quickly too, I don't know, fans that follow the Facebook page, I actually had a good friend and listener send me a beautiful care package over the holidays, of which I will reciprocate soon. I apologize. It's been crazy. But I was sent a beautiful care package that included one T-shirt that said "No place for Hideo," which was
the phrase that was used in the run up to Metal Gear Solid 4.
Oh, it was also in 3.
Was it?
Yeah, well, it was like a promo where it was a bunch of director chairs, and there was a director chair that had Hideo's name on it, and then the name fell off, and it was a different director. And then there was like, I think on the back of one of the chairs it said "No place for Hideo." But I know that it resurfaces. Yeah, MGS3 was almost directed by a completely different person. But anyway, so I got a nice shirt that said "No place for Hideo," and then I also got some Calorie Mate.
Yay.
So when you play MGS3, Isaac, there is some product placement. And some of the food you can eat in the game, because you have to eat to maintain your stamina gauge, is Calorie Mate, which is a Japanese, like, Scottish shortbread cookie, but it's made to give you energy and the same nutrients as a full meal. And I got a package of it sent in the mail, and it's delicious. So... yeah, and that's not us saying like please send us gifts, but that's just me saying like that happened and it was neat and Metal Gear related.
P.O. Box.
Yeah, but please send us gifts.
But really.
Yeah, but really, please send us gifts.
Really, send me candy.
I can't remember what the drink from MGS3 is called. But there was
balls.
No, I wish there was a drink. There was a drink in MGS3 that was also licensed. And if I remember correctly, and I'll include it in the show notes, there was an ad campaign for the drink on TV that Solid Snake appeared in as like a trade between the two, which I thought was really funny. But yeah, so anyway, that's been our show. The last 3 things that we wanted to talk about were from last episode. I'm trying to recall.
Number 1, so we've totally skipped over the fact that Fat Man was an agent of the Patriots sent to test Raiden's skills, essentially.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was like the field, like the midterm, I guess.
Yeah, the midterm.
The midterm exam.
We also missed the fact that when Solidus dies, he kind of falls down off of the top of the building and onto a statue of George Washington, which was another spot of symbolism.
Yeah, and that it leads to the other thing that we missed, which was it's kind of like the finale to the metaphor throughout the game that the terrorist group that Solidus put together, which I think we mentioned once in passing, is called the Sons of Liberty. And I think this goes back to the comment that we read earlier where it said Solidus was a fun villain ? Replaying the game, I guess, and Solidus is kind of a dick, so you might kind of miss his whole point. But I definitely realized that like he was fighting to take over America from the Patriots and to bring about an American democracy. So he maybe wasn't a bad
really
guy.
A villain?
Yeah, I think he may have been a good guy, but just a really shitty human being.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll leave that up to you guys to decide. But yeah, so those were the 3 things we missed. For sure, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Metal Gear Mondays. Check us out on SoundCloud and Facebook at Geek Time Pod for the whole network. Go to geekti.me for the website for the network. Check out all of our great shows. Sam just released a wonderful podcast called May We Have a Word, where he spends 30 to 45 minutes talking to somebody about a word and what that word evokes to them and stories about that word. The first episode was the word begin, appropriately enough, and it actually featured me. So if you like me and Sam, check that out and listen to the rest of the show as it comes out. And also our good friend from the network, Aaron DiPasquale, just released a show called The Week in Geek, which is a geek news podcast.
As you hear this episode, he will be 2 episodes deep.
Yeah, so definitely check that out. Search it on your podcast application. As always, leave us a...
really quick. So you're going to talk about iTunes reviews.
Uh-huh.
If you type in geekti.me in the search bar of iTunes, in the podcast section, it's all of our shows.
Oh, and it could just be Geek Time without the dot.
Yeah, that works too. But just to kind of like foolproof it, if you want to do the dot, you can.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize that when I set up the feeds that me putting Geek Time as the author ties them all together because I'm a dummy. So if you just type in Geek Time in the search box, you'll get the first results for everything is going to be our podcast,
which is great because if you want to subscribe, I will say for those of you that look to us to be your Monday morning commute, or Tuesday morning commute, if you subscribe to the other shows, I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. You might actually have something to listen to most days during your commute. So I know that your time is valuable, and I'm not asking you to spend all of your time listening to what we're doing. But if you are looking for something to listen to, there you go right there, because we've got stuff coming out pretty much all week. Not all week, but most of the week.
Yeah, because I know, so this is obviously Monday. Word is on Wednesday. There's going to be a new show. When is this episode coming out? Let me do a little
I believe
thinking.
it is the
25th.
Yep.
So coming up next week on Tuesday the 2nd, the first episode of Toast, which is an anime show where me and my friend Kevin sit down and watch anime and make fun of it and each other.
Mystery Science Theater 3000 style.
Straight up, with special guest, third chair Gannon the cat. That's going to start coming out on the 2nd of February on Tuesdays. So, and then the Geek Time podcast comes out on Fridays, every other Friday. So definitely check that out.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and we're trying to build a thing. So if you guys have any feedback on the other shows, we're just trying to build the network and have some cool shows for you guys to listen to network wide. So yeah, but all of that being said, you can also check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/geektimepod. If you would like to financially contribute to the idea of the network and what we're trying to build, because we're trying to build it for you guys. So, and we'd love to not ever have to go to sponsors and fill your ears with a bunch of advertisement. We would love to be able to sustain the show just based on listeners. So, so check that out. And, guys, I think that's fucking everything. I feel like we've been talking for forever. It's been a long recording night. Isaac, did you have anything you wanted to say? Excuse me, shy, lacking in confidence one. Did you have anything?
That is me.
Mushy and flavorless Asian sir.
Oh my god.
This is my favorite. This is my favorite part of every episode where we ask Isaac if he has something to say.
I'm the tofu man. And you can find me in the tofu store under the shrimp. Okay.
What the fuck?
Hear me out. You see where I'm going.
What store do you go to that shrimp above tofu?
The grocery store.
That's not like
tofu's in the produce though.
As working in food my entire life, it's also a terrible idea to put seafood above tofu.
That tofu's gonna taste like shrimp.
I took a fucking surf safe class, okay? To this day, even though I don't work in the food industry anymore, I'm still surf safe certified. Get the fuck out of here putting
five times fast.
Surf safe certified? Well, I can fucking do it. To this day, so don't fucking tell me that any self-respecting grocery store stores meat above other foods. Because that's not okay. That is a health violation, god damn it.
We don't stand for that here, Isaac.
No, we don't stand for health vielations.
Well,
continue.
I mean, this is an Asian market, so.
Oh my god,
okay. That makes
sense.
Isaac.
Hey guys, Isaac said it. We didn't say it.
So
anyway,
you're underneath the shrimp.
So, if you go there, you will see me packing up boxes of tofu.
And
is that it?
That's it.
You can also go to doesn'thaveatwit.com/Twitter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that how that works? Tell me, Isaac.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to plug. So Sam is on Twitter at SamWrightDPS, and I'm at AC Summerfield.
And I'm. What?
I was gonna say, if you want to tweet at us, go ahead, Isaac.
Okay, and then you can tweet at me at doesn't have a twit. I still don't understand the. Okay, I'll just.
No, you did that right this time.
Did I do it right?
Yeah, just.
Yes. And you can tweet at Isaac, but that means that Isaac has to use his Twitter.
Guys, if you tweet at Isaac, you may not know how to respond.
You receive a response in 10 to 15 business days via carrier pigeon.
Yeah, Isaac may have the body of a mid-20-year-old, but he has the Twitter capabilities of a 45
That's
or
right.
50-year-old.
That's right.
Not to discourage our 40 to 50-year-old listeners. I'm just saying.
You should have said like a really like out there age range,
That's
because
true.
we definitely had at least 2 reviews
That's true.
this episode
But guys,
that were mid 30s to early 40s.
But let's be real, guys. Those listeners are cool 40-year-olds.
yeah.
We're talking about the not cool 40-year-olds.
We're talking about like my dad,
Yeah.
40, 50-year-old.
Not to make you feel old, because Sam just said his dad is your age, but I feel like we're just digging a hole. So we're just going to stop
sorry.
right
No,
here.
my
Sam's
dad-
dad is rad, remember?
Yeah, that's
My
right.
dad is rad. So speaking of maybe have a word, I did an episode of that with my dad, and that was rad.
It was a
So-
rad dad.
I have a rad dad.
All right, we're spiraling out of control. I'm going to put a cork in, I guess.
5.56
And
of
pineapples. Yeah, all right. We're done. We're done here.
Isaac,
We're done here.
Is there something that they should remember?
It's just a box.
All right. Shut it down.
Just a box.